Hey guys, this is the Tech Skeptic, and today I have yet another exciting tech related video for you guys. In front of me we have the Orico M.2 magnetic docking station. Now a little context. Orico reached out to me and they told me they watched my iPhone 17 Pro videos and they were interested in sending me this product for review purposes. I wrote back to them saying that I've already returned my iPhone 17 Pro, but I can still review the product using a desktop computer if that works. And they said it absolutely does. So here we have the docking station. If you notice, the box is a little dinged up, but that has nothing to do with Orico, and that's my local delivery company not taking care of customer packages. Anywho, let's turn over the box and look at the specs. So comes in 3 colors, and these are the same 3 colors the iPhone 17 Pro and Pro Max comes in, so it matches your phone. This one we have is the orange one, and the specific model that we got is the MG7 G2. Now these are the specs. Has a USB-C with a power delivery of 100 watts, an M.2 NVMe 2230 enclosure. The SSD is not included, USB-A, USB-C, an SD card reader, an HDMI 4K 60 output, and a 3.5mm headphone jack. Now, the other model that we did not get is the MG5 G2, and that one, the only difference between this and that from the looks of it is that this does not contain the SD card reader. But other than that, they both look similar. I don't know why it says hard disk capacity 256 gigs and 512 because it doesn't contain any, so probably that's why no box is checked, but that's how the box looks. And now we're gonna get into it using our trusty $5 sale knife. All right, that is done. Let's tear through the packaging and see what we have. All right, so let's open the box. All right, nothing in it. Put it away and let's have a look. So up front you got some paperwork, which I'm sure is a quick start guide. Says user manual. It's like a big leaflet. I'm sure we can figure it out, so we're gonna put this aside. We have a magnetic ring, so even if your phone does not have the magnetic ring the iPhones come with, you can still stick it onto your regular phone and then stick the enclosure behind that magnet just like that. So you can use it with any phone, not just an iPhone, but the theme that they are following is obviously based on an iPhone. So let's put this aside. We have a few tools. So this is a USB-C to USB-C cable, and it will look really neat once you have it stuck on the back of your phone, and then one end goes in here and the other one goes in the phone's USB-C port. We don't have a phone, but we still will need this and use this cable when we connect it to our computer. A little screwdriver to open the dock and put an SSD in, and then some mounting hardware for that SSD. So let's put these accessories over here and just for a moment have a look at the product. And from owning an iPhone, I can tell you in person this looks exactly, the color is the exact orange that the iPhone has, so it will look really nice on the back of your iPhone. But if we look at the top, we have an SD card reader and a micro SD card reader. So, and on the side you have a headphone jack and 4K 60 Hz HDMI out. On the bottom you have a power delivery 100 watt USB-C port, and then a PC in port, which I believe you will also use when you're using this cable and your phone. And if we turn this to the other side, we have a USB-A 10G and a USB-C 10G connection. So this is how it is. It is aluminum, and behind there's a soft material coating, and then the magnetic ring, which still has the plastic on it. We don't need to take it off because I am not going to use it on the phone. Now, with this, I separately ordered a solid state drive, a 2230, because I have a computer, but I use the regular longer, I believe those are the 2280s, but I needed a smaller one to test it with the dock, and I just didn't want to just, tell you that you can use it with an SSD. I actually wanted to show you what this thing performs like and what it does with an SSD. Now, this is a rather cheaper SSD, so we might not be getting the best speed, but we will compare the marketed speeds for this SSD with what we are able to get. So if we have a look here, this is the King Data 256 gigabyte SSD, and on Amazon it was marketed as something you can put in the Steam Deck. So if it's good enough for Steam Deck, it is probably good enough for this testing. Let's now unbox this, even though this is not part of the actual product, but we are going to need it. I do have a lot of SD cards lying around with varying speeds, so we will test that. But for this, this packaging is really tight. I'm hoping I don't damage it while taking the product out. Okay, we're gonna try from this end. Really professional guys here, really professional setup that we have going on. Put this aside and try again from this end. There we go. So let's take this out. Okay, comes with a little bit of paperwork. We're gonna put this over to the side, put this over to the side, and look at that. So this is a service card. I don't know if it's gonna work, but we do have one. And if I can open this plastic to reveal the SSD, that would work greatly for me. Oh boy, this is tough. Okay, this packaging and the gloves I'm wearing is not the best combo. Okay, there we go. Whoops, sprung out like a leopard. All right, so there is the King Data 256 gigabyte SSD. We're gonna put it right here, and then we have a little screw for when we mount it inside. We're gonna put it right here. So I'm just gonna clear this up, and I'll see you while mounting the SSD. Alright folks, so now we're gonna fit this 2230 SSD in the Orico enclosure. I'm gonna use the screwdriver they provided, but first I gotta figure out how I'm gonna open this thing. And we have a screw here that I believe is the only screw that we need to open. So we're just gonna take this out, and hopefully, there we go, it all opens up. Now this is all aluminum, pretty good quality might I add, and painted through and through. They didn't cheap out by painting just the outside. It's all the way anodized aluminum. This is how the inside looks. Now we can see the USB-C ports all around, the HDMI and the micro SD card, the SD card, and the USB-A. And here, I'm just gonna take this tape off, and here we have the place for an SSD. Now the SSD itself came with a little screw, but then we also have some screws and pads with the Orico enclosure itself. So first I'm gonna take the SSD, match the notch, and fit it right there, and there we go. We have a perfect place for it to rest. I'm gonna use this because I believe these are, let's see if these are thermal pads to conduct heat, or are they just rubber pads for this is interesting. I believe they are thermal pads to conduct heat, because they have a consistency. Yeah, they seem like thermal pads. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna keep them here. I'm gonna take the screw that came with the Orico, I'm gonna center it right here, and then I'm gonna use the same screwdriver. Good thing it fits. And then we're just gonna, whoops, it is magnetic. The screwdriver that they give you is magnetic, which is pretty decent. So take two, and we are, oops, it's challenging looking at it from behind the camera. Okay. Wow, top-notch skills here, guys. Let me try it one more time. Okay, so this is actually pretty challenging from behind the camera. Let me get closer. And I don't know why it does not want to go in. This is odd. All right, one more time. Ah, I see the problem. There is some sort of tape on the screw. Okay, there we go. Oh, I don't know if you can see it, but there is I don't know why they put tape, like a protective film, on a on the screw hole. I'm gonna have to use my screwdriver to poke a hole in it. That's weird. There we go. That is the piece that came off, and now we should be able to screw the screw in, because I was like, how can I be this bad at putting in a screw? So there we go. Oops, the camera went out of focus and my hands are busy. There we go. Alright, so it's tightened up. The 256 gigabyte King Data SSD is in, and it's not, then again, the fastest SSD, but we're gonna compare the claimed speeds and what we get in the test and see where we land, and that will help us understand how well the enclosure is or isn't working. I'm gonna put this right here. All right, and then I'm gonna carefully try and remove the plastic on this end. Okay, there we go. So now we have the, hopefully this is gonna conduct heat. Let's see how well it does. All right, so I'm just gonna put it back just like it was, or not. Let's try one more time. They don't have any okay, so I'm not editing this because this is a real review, and that's what I told Orico. I told them if the product sucks, I'm gonna tell people it sucks. And I'm just giving it the benefit of the doubt right now that maybe it's my fitment that's the issue, and not the product itself. There we go. So maybe it was how I was trying to fit it. Let's try it one more time just to be sure. So what worked was when I aligned the USB side first and then just pushed it in. There we go. So it wasn't the product, it was a skill issue. Anywho, so we're gonna put the screw back in. Let me grab the screw. And I'm doing this unedited, guys, because that's how we do things here, because that's what makes it an honest review. Because anybody can show, yeah, this is an amazing product, and buy it from the link below. Which reminds me, in the video description of this video, we will have a discount code and a purchase link for this product. Now, depending on how the testing goes, because I haven't tested it yet, I will recommend it at the end of the video, and then you can use that link to get 35% off the price of this enclosure. But if the product is not worth it, I'm gonna still give you the purchase link, but I'm gonna advise against it. So let's connect it to the computer now and see how the Orico SSD and SD card enclosure, mainly designed for the iPhone with the MagSafe, but we're gonna use it using a desktop computer. We're gonna be testing the SD card, the micro SD card function. We're gonna be using USB, cable to maybe get some other data moved, and then we're gonna get the HDMI out, and also gonna use this 3.5 mm jack to see if that's functioning properly. And by the end of this video, you'll have an idea of whether this product is worth your hard-earned money or not. Alright folks, so I have the Orico SSD docking station / enclosure plugged in to my laptop using the cable, the USB-C cable they provided, so I can make it as stock as possible and match it with the experience you might have if you end up buying this product. So right now you can see there is nothing else plugged into the dock. The only thing that is in is the SSD we just installed, and right now, as you can see, we cannot see it, but we're gonna fix that right now. So I'm gonna go to my disk manager, and what I am going to do once it loads up, as you can see, we have my main hard drive, and then we have disk 1, 238 gigabytes unallocated. I'm narrating it everything because I'm not doing a screen record because I have to show you stuff that I'm doing as well. So you gotta take my word for it. It's 238 gigabytes of unallocated space. I'm gonna right click and create a new sample. So we're gonna use it as a USB stick, so to say. So we're gonna completely create it, assign a drive letter. I'm gonna assign it maybe E for good luck, and then I'm gonna hit next. I'm gonna stay NTFS, and then I'm gonna call the volume King Data SSD. So we're gonna hit next, and then we're gonna hit finish. So we're waiting on the format to complete. There we go. As you can see, the drive loads up, King Data SSD. So there we go. That's the SSD. Now what we're gonna do next is I'm gonna run Crystal Mark to give you an idea of the speed that we are getting. So let's go to our drive, which is E in this case. I don't know why it's reading. Maybe I need to close the application and start it back up again, because it's reading it as 116 gigs, whereas it's way more than that. So we're gonna open Crystal Mark one more time just to be sure. Yep, now it reads it correctly. So test disk is E and it's 238 gigabytes. We're gonna set we're gonna go for 3, and then we're gonna do all types of tests on it for read and write. I hope it is visible. I'm just gonna check in the camera to see if it is. I'm gonna focus it just here so you can clearly see it, and I'm also gonna be narrating it. And we are almost done. It's doing the last write test, and it is done. So let's look at the results. So for a 1 gigabyte segment, the maximum read speed that we got is 1007 megabytes per second, and the maximum write that we got was 878 megabytes per second. Now, if I look at the Amazon listing, which I have in front of me right now, this SSD claims to have sequential reads of up to 2400 megabytes per second and sequential writes of up to 1800 megabytes per second. So based on that, we are pretty far off. But unfortunately, there is no clear way for me to just determine if the SSD was gonna reach that speed at any rate. Like, even if I had installed it internally, I could compare how it performs inside the enclosure. By the way, the enclosure right now is really hot. That means, and that this part is extremely hot. That tells me that the thermal paste or the thermal, let's say, pad we put is doing its job. It is extremely warm. It's almost uncomfortable to hold. So there is that, but we are putting it through some tough tests here. So that is your SSD test. Now we're gonna move on to some other testing. I'm gonna minimize this. I'm gonna go back to desktop. So this is E. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this 128 gigabyte SanDisk card. It's a V30 class 3. I'm gonna put it inside the enclosure and see how quickly it pops up. Okay, instant. That was amazing actually. Well, the reason why I say it's amazing is because I have this other Ugreen enclosure that I've been using for the past, let's say, 6 months. And the problem with this one is it works fine one day, but then one day you plug it in and it doesn't detect the SD card. You have to plug it in multiple times, sometimes even have to restart the PC for it to get even detected, and speeds are not the best. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna first use the Orico with the SD card, and I'm gonna run Crystal Mark on it, which should tell us the speeds we are able to get. So now this is F, so we're gonna move on to F. I'm actually gonna have to close Crystal Mark every time I'm gonna wanna do this. So let's go to downloads again. Let's go here to downloads, and then we are going to run Crystal Mark. So hopefully F shows up right here. So we're gonna select F. I'm gonna keep the same settings and I'm gonna hit all. Let's see what kind of a result we get for an SD card, a class 3 micro SD card using the Orico, and then we're gonna repeat the same test with a dedicated SD card reader to give you an idea of whether the Orico holds up to this or outperforms it, or if you're better off buying a dedicated SD card reader. So the test is on the way. I'll quickly move past this part. All right, so we completed the test and these are the results. Now I'm not gonna say anything. What I am going to do is I'm going to save a screenshot so that we can compare it later to the other results. So I'm gonna save it as micro SD card and then Orico. So we are going to save this in a new folder, Orico review, and there we go. So I'm going to save this image right here, and then we're gonna close this for now. Now that we have this result, I'm gonna close it again, and now I want to test a full-size SD card. Now this is a Sabrent 128 gigabyte V60 class 3 card. So I'm gonna use this inside the Orico, see how quickly it pops up. Let me just go to my computer so it's easier. So we already have two things. Now this is the third one. Okay, instant. I like this part about the Orico, that everything gets detected instantly. So we have the SSD, we have the micro SD, and now we have the SD card. So I'm gonna go to Crystal Mark again and go to Crystal Mark and start the test. Let's see how we do. This is the SD card now, and I'm gonna run the same tests using the Orico enclosure. All right, so the test is complete. Again, not going to say anything, but I am going to save a screenshot. So there we go, and I'm going to save it as the SD card now. So this is the SD card inside of Orico. Save that, close it out, and close this down. And now what I am going to do, because I just remembered, I have a dedicated SD card reader inside my laptop, so it will be a good idea to compare the Orico to the internal SD card reader of my laptop, and then eventually compare it to a name brand SD card reader, just to give you all sorts of ideas. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the SD card and the micro SD cards out. By the way, the Orico is really warm, like it's uncomfortably hot right now. I don't know if you have it mounted on the back of your iPhone, how comfortable would it be for you to be able to hold it, because it is designed to magnetically stick on to your iPhone 17 Pro and Pro Max. Anywho, we are going to first take the micro SD card, put it inside the jacket, and then plug it into the system. Believe it or not, it's not getting detected. So what I am going to do is I'm going to go to my disk manager, and I'm going to see if it actually pops up. Seems like it does not want to pop up. Maybe, oh, there it is. So maybe it wanted a second click. So now we have the micro SD card in D. So we're gonna go to Crystal Disk Mark one more time. And we are going for D, and then we're running a full-on test. Let's see how the SD card performs inside the computer's own SD card reader. All right, we are done. So these are the results of the test. Again, not going to comment just now. What I am going to do is I am going to take a screenshot of this and then save it for later. All right, so I'm going to save it as the micro SD card inside the laptop. So that is saved. We are going to close out of it, close this. So I want to do these tests as honestly and as openly in front of you as possible. That's why you may see me fumbling through screens a little, but that is okay. So now we're back on the main screen. I'm gonna take out the micro SD card inside of the jacket. We're gonna put it aside, and then I'm gonna put the Sabrent 128 gigabyte SD card inside the laptop. It pops up again, D. So we're gonna go to our Crystal Disk Mark again, open the program, and D is already selected. So let's go. All right, so another test completed. Not gonna say anything just now, but I am going to make a note of it by taking a screenshot and saving it as the SD card inside my laptop. All right, so we're gonna save it, close this, close that, go to the, actually I'm not gonna go to the computer here. I'm going to use this one, and we're gonna pop the SD card out. So this was the Orico and then my computer's internal SD card reader. Now I have this Ugreen SD card reader. I'm gonna take whatever I have inside of it out, and we're gonna go back to using the SD card that I originally used in the Orico and then in my computer. I'm gonna put it right here, click it in, and then because my computer only has one USB-C port, I'm gonna have to take the Orico out. You're gonna see this disappear. There we go. And now I'm going to plug the SD card reader in, and right off the bat it got registered in one of the slots. So this one, because it has an SD and a micro SD, we're not using the SD card just now. We are using the micro SD card slot. That's why it popped up. And now we're going to go and run Crystal Mark one more time. So right now it shows 119 gigabytes, and I'm gonna do the same test as we did before. Alright, so we are done with this test as well. Again, I'm gonna take a screenshot and save it for later. We are going to save it. So this was the micro SD card inside the Ugreen card reader. So we're gonna save that, and now after doing that we are going to close this again, go to the computer, and I'm going to remove the micro SD card just to avoid any confusions, and we are going to use the same SD card, the 128 gigabyte Sabrent. I know you can't see it the way the lighting is set up, but this is the same card. I'm going to put it inside the Ugreen and it immediately pops up. So we're gonna go to Crystal Disk Mark, open it up, go to H, and repeat the same test again. Alright folks, so this is the test done. We are again gonna take a screenshot and save it for our reference. So this was the SD card inside the Ugreen card reader. Okay, so that is done, and I'm gonna reveal the results in just a second. But before I do that, I want to show you that because the Orico has a full-size USB 10 gigabyte, I'm not gonna do a data transfer test on it, but what I am going to do is to use it for accessories. For example, I'm gonna take this SD card out, I'm gonna plug the Orico back in the USB-C port, and then I'm gonna take this Logitech Bluetooth mouse and I'm gonna take its USB dongle, plug it inside the Orico, and see, there we go. So you can easily expand the number of USB-C ports, or the number of USB ports in this case, if you are using this. So we have one USB-C connected to the Orico, and it gives you two USB-C extra and then one full-on full-size USB-A. So that's pretty good, that now even though my USB-C is taken up, I can still use this dock. I mean, that's how all docks work. This isn't exclusive to Orico, it's just something that I wanted to try. So that works. Now I am going to reveal the test results, the test we just did, and we might be surprised by the results. So first of all, let's look at the Orico test now. This is the screenshot. I don't know how well the camera picks it up, but I'm gonna try and port it on the big screen for you guys so you can see. There we go. So it was the micro SD card inside Orico. The read speed was 94 and the write speed was 80. We're gonna consider the first just to keep it simple and equal. All right, so this is that main test, and now we're gonna move on to the next one. I really do not like Windows 11, how it handles gallery. Anyways, there's a whole another video to be made about Windows 11 and its failures, but right now we're talking about Orico. So let's now look at the micro SD card performance inside the laptop. Whoa, what is that? It is only 19. That was 94 and 80. This is 19 and 28 inside my laptop's card reader. So my laptop, albeit it's from 2019, this card reader is clearly slow. It's really slow, and the Orico performed much better than my computer's internal SD card reader. Now we're gonna complete the test by going to the micro SD card from the Ugreen. Oh, that is amazing. Exactly, or almost exactly the same results as we got from the Orico. So that tells me that the USB-C cable is doing the heavy lifting, or the USB-C bandwidth is doing the heavy lifting. The SD card reader inside my laptop is probably an old gen, but this one and the one inside the Orico both are powered like using the USB-C protocol, so they both have better bandwidth, and the read and write are practically the same on the Ugreen for the SD card reader as it was for the Orico. Now let's go to the SD card, sorry, that was the micro SD card. Now let's go to the SD card reader results. So this was the Orico SD card reader result, and this is 95 and 85. Okay, we're gonna close this. We're gonna go to my laptop's SD card, which is again abysmal, 19 and 30. Wow, this really suffers. So 95, 85, 19 and 30, and then finally we're gonna go to Ugreen. Oh, the Ugreen beats it by a long shot. The Ugreen SD card reader beats the Orico and my laptop by plenty of margin. So this is 263 compared to the 95 of the Orico, and this is 101 compared to the 85 of the Orico. So clearly Ugreen won this category of testing. That being said, we are gonna move past the SD cards. So we've tested the SSD. I don't have data points to compare the SSD test to, but that's how it performed. You saw it, 1000 MB down and then some 900 MB on the right, but it is usable. So the SSD was usable inside the Steam Deck. That's what they claimed according to Amazon, and the speeds that we read from the Orico kind of go in line with that, but again, I don't have any other comparison points. We tested the USB-C port using this mouse that I'm using right now, so that's done. Now the final thing I want to test, actually there are a couple that I want to test. First, I'm gonna test the 3.5 mm jack on the Orico. So here I have some 3.5 mm connection earphones, rather old ones, but what I'm gonna do is first I'm gonna plug them inside my laptop, and then I'm gonna randomly just open something on YouTube to just get an audio sample just to see if everything is working fine. We're gonna open Flossie Cotter's video. Okay, I hear normally the sound is fine. All right. Okay. So it sounds fine on
Alright, so let's get right into it. First things
so
first,
this is my
laptop.
this was my laptop speaker, and now I have changed it to the earphones. Yeah, sounds fine. All right, I'm gonna take this out of here, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna plug this in inside the Orico. Let's see. Okay, I did hear something. Okay, not getting any sound so far. Let's see if we get.
All right, the honor wins.
Okay.
Now, this is a gaming phone, and dare I say,
Okay, all right. Yep. I actually hear it very clear on the Orico, and even a little better. Maybe I don't know how, but it's even a little more crisper coming out of here. Maybe it's the DAC they're using, maybe it's something else, but I did it a couple of times, but the audio sounds perfectly fine, but it's mainly gonna depend on the type of earphones that you're using. You cannot have one of those high power, high gain earphones. It just has to be something that, you know, plugs into your 3.5 mm jack. So that part also works on the Orico docking station. Now, after doing all of that, I'm going to close this out so Flossie does not, you know, send me a copyright. But what I am going to do right now, you see this cable? You see the shadow of it at least? So this is the connection between this screen and my laptop. So I'm using the laptop's onboard HDMI output and plugged it into this screen. So that's how you see it as my second screen. What I am going to do now is I'm going to take this out, and everything's gonna go berserk for a second. All right. And then I am going to plug this in the Orico's HDMI out and see how that performs. Okay, it's scanning for signal. Let's give it a second, even though it should be pretty instant. We're still waiting, and it did not work. Just to make sure that it still works on my laptop, I'm gonna go back to my laptop, and there you go. So unfortunately, the HDMI out on the Orico did not work for me, and it's working fine when I use it directly with my laptop. So maybe if Orico you are watching, I don't know, let me know if there is something that I can be doing differently, or maybe it is a problem with this particular unit, or is it something that you're aware of and working to fix, but the HDMI out on this Orico USB-C docking station did not work for me. Maybe it works for you. Let me know in the comments if you've bought one of these already and it's working fine for you. But other than that, the micro SD card reader, the SD card reader, the USB-C, the USB-A, and the audio jack are all working. The audio jack was an interesting surprise for me because usually these docks, they don't have an audio jack on them, but this was pretty plug and play, and now you have two of them. I wasn't using my onboard one, and then a USB-C connected to this, and then I was able to use 3.5 mm earphones with this one, which was pretty cool. So that being said, this is my testing complete. You can make up your own mind regarding the results as we saw. Now I'm going to meet you outside and we're going to talk about some final thoughts on the Orico SSD docking station in Cosmic Orange. See you in a bit. Alright, let's talk about my final thoughts on the Orico SSD docking station. On paper, it is a pretty neat device. It magnetically mounts onto your iPhone 17 Pro and gives you accessibility to a lot of different ports. Now, granted, I was not able to test it using the iPhone 17 Pro. We were still able to use it with a desktop computer, and it should perform pretty similar. But you saw the test and you can make up your own mind. I was impressed by the the micro SD card speed. I was not very impressed with the SD card speed because my Ugreen SD card reader, which costs maybe third of the price, was actually able to outperform this card reader. I was quite impressed that the USB A and C, they function properly. We did not test the USB-C function, but if you have a USB-C dongle, or if you're trying to connect some data through the USB-C, or if you have a dongle for your mouse that has a USB-C, you can use that. I had a USB-A dongle and it worked fine for me using this. Coming to the front, I did not test the power delivery because my laptop has a traditional power jack, but if you want, this says it can have a power delivery of 100 watt. Then again, I have not tested it. This was the PC in that we were using, and this is the status LED. The headphone jack was a neat little surprise. I was not expecting it to work without any problems. Like, I just plugged it in and changed the settings to the speaker settings in the Windows audio settings, and voila, it was right there. So that was pretty neat. Unfortunately, the HDMI out, I could not get it to work. Maybe it's this unit. Maybe I did something wrong. Maybe you can correct me in the comment section, or maybe Orico needs to look into it and make it better. So as I said, on paper, this is a neat little device. But one other, let's say, points of improvement, or points of concern rather, that I had with this was that when the SSD was in and I was doing my testing, this thing was really hot. Like, this is aluminum, and this entire thing was way too warm to be held comfortably. Now imagine if you have your phone on top of here. I have an older iPhone that I'm going to use to demonstrate this. So even though it's designed for the iPhone, because it doesn't have the right cable, if you have the cable plugged in and then plugged into your phone, it's going to be mounted something like this, right? It looks pretty neat, looks like futuristic, and this is the iPhone 13. It does not have as strong magnets as the newer one, so it's gonna be seated much better, but it's gonna look like this. But imagine you're holding it and this is constantly here, so it's gonna be uncomfortable for you to hold on to if you're doing some data transfers, playing some games, watching a 4K video. You could be doing a lot of different things. So I don't know why this got really hot. I understand it's all passive cooling, it's all aluminum, so heat dissipation is only gonna happen through radiation. But that being said, maybe mounting it on your phone may not be as comfortable as you would think. So let me know what are your thoughts on the Orico SSD docking station in the comments, what you liked about it, what you didn't like about it, what would you want me to test next if I missed anything, and if you want to buy this product, I will have the discount code and the purchase link in the description of this video. You can get 35% off Amazon's retail price, whatever the price right now, you can get 35% off. This is a code that works in Canada for sure. US and UK may vary, you can check, but I'm not quite sure, but it works for Canada. But that being said, do I recommend this product? That's a tricky part. So at the time of buying this, or at the time of making this review, when I looked it up, this was 65 Canadian dollars. Now for 65 Canadian dollars, the build quality is really nice. It's solid, and like, not solid, but the shell is aluminum. It's soft touch at the back, looks nice, looks decent. Even when you mount it on your phone, it looks pretty futuristic, right? But when we talk about functionality, so my SD card reader that I was using, the Ugreen one, that costs about $25. So at $25, you're getting same, if not better, SD card performance out of that. So if the rest of it Let's see if it makes up for the remaining cost. It mounts on your phone. That could be a plus, but in this case it's not, because it gets really warm. So if it gets really warm, and if it does, give you the option to mount it on the back of your phone, what good is that? Because you're not going to be able to hold on to your phone. You're going to have to take this off, or you're going to have to put your phone down. So that's that. But it does have headphone jack. I don't know how valuable it is for you in 2026. The HDMI did not work for me. If this worked, then you could make a case for it, but this did not work for me. And then at the end of the day, it has some power delivery USB and a regular USB-C connection. So if you're just looking for a USB dock, I think there are plenty of other options that work well with the desktop. They may have a different shape, like usually they come like a long stick kind of a deal. They're not mountable on your phone. They don't look as sleek and compact like this. It's just a different style. But if you're just using it with your computer, I would recommend getting one of those that can have an SD card. They can also have, HDMI. The concept is nothing new, right? It's just a different shape and a different mounting system that Orico is using here. But if you're looking for a dock that works well with your computer, with your desktop, with any other device, I think you're better off getting one of those docks. They cost 30, 40. Anker makes a couple of good ones, maybe $50, $55, still cheaper than this one. But if you really want to match that aesthetic of your iPhone, because it comes in 3 different colors, this is the cosmic orange, and then we have the midnight blue, I believe, and the silver. So if you want that aesthetic look with your iPhone, you can definitely get a look in, at the Orico. But considering how warm it got, I'm not too sure how long you're going to be able to hold on to your phone once you have it mounted. And then the HDMI out did not work for me. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I don't want to sound like a broken record. I hope you enjoyed the video. This was an honest review, an unbiased review. Even though this product was sent to me free of charge, I told Orico this is going to be honest, and that's exactly what I did. Let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree, and I'll see you guys in the next one.